Call the meeting to order. 6 o'clock on Thursday, June 28th, for the Pownal WWTF conference room is where we're meeting, and it's the Board of Sewer Commissioners. The agenda approval of the minutes of 3/22/18, mail, public comment, chief operator's operation report, and fiscal year 18 WWTF O&M budget adjustment. Motion to accept.
So moved.
Anything to be added? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approvals of the minutes of 3/22/18.
So moved.
Get a second for that?
Second.
Any discussion on any of them? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Nays, abstentions, mail.
No mail today.
Whoa, perfect. Public comments. No public comments, good. Chief operator operations report.
Okay, we've been busy, as you can well imagine, spring into summer now. The state has recently developed additional forms that must be included with our monthly online DMR submittal regarding total nitrogen and phosphorus testing. So I'll be completing and including these with our next monthly filings. And VCLT contracted an outside agent to determine the value of the equipment of the wastewater treatment facility and all the pump stations. And we basically spent an entire day walking him through the entire plant, and we had to take him to all 23 pump stations to give him access to the inside. And then he's actually since required additional information regarding wet well dimensions, and provided him with that information as well. We provide tours to all the potential employees for the new town administrator position. And the yearly budget adjustments have been completed, and Ellen has reviewed them and approved them. So that's good to know. Our yearly laboratory equipment calibrations are scheduled for July, and we've always done this on a yearly basis just to ensure that our equipment is operating properly. But it's actually now a requirement of our newly issued permit, so we're on board with that. Our new permit also required us to perform our annual effluent testing in the spring of 2018. That's been completed. The results have been submitted to the state. Another condition of the new permit was to submit to the state secretary in writing within 90 days of the issuance date of the new permit, which was April 1st, that our emergency power outage plan was current and up to date. And a letter was drafted. I contacted our engineers and just had them drafted a quick letter saying, yes, everything, nothing's changed. We're up to date and it's in place. The employees of Green Lantern have been on site to take measurements of the mount of the potential solar site. And we had a representative from the state come to the wastewater treatment facility and inform us that there would be employees testing the stacks around the facility and the mound area. They have been on site multiple times performing the test. And actually, I don't have this in my report, but 2 EPA officials arrived today to do some river testing. So they just wanted us to know that they were here. There was some lawn damage in the spring from the people parking on the berm outside the outer gate. So I would just like to say, especially in the springtime, I mean, it looks like it's safe to park there, but it's just like a mudslide. I mean, the poor guy almost ended up in the river. I'm sure he had someone pull him out. So we fixed all of that, but recommend that people be advised to park in the tannery parking lot. I mean, if you want to walk, walking's free. So park in the tannery parking lot and then just walk down the driveway.
Could we ask Joel to get some signs that basically says that? Please,
Parking here?
Yeah, no parking
I can
here.
talk to
Please
Joel
park
about
in the parking lot by our town shed.
Yep,
Whatever you want to call it.
Sure. I have to talk to him anyway. We have one other manhole that we sort of have to fix together. It's too high, and he's going to do some paving, but he still thinks he's going to hit it. So we actually need him to cut the pavement, pull it off with one of his machines, so that we can go down into the manhole and cut the stone, so we can reset it and reform it so it'll be more graded.
Is it high enough to replace that
He's-
hole up on the North Pownal Road where we come around the corner and hit it every time?
Well, what's happening is they're hitting it because it's too high.
Is that the one
They're
you're
hitting it
talking
with the
about?
snow plows. They're hitting it with the snow plows, which is a problem for both of us. I mean, it's basically stopping the truck and,
Yeah.
you know,
Well,
causing
you're gonna
damage.
wreck it at some point.
Right. And, you know, we don't want the damage to the manhole either. We also fixed a manhole on Center Street, which they were hitting to. So,
Same.
we had to
Same
do
problem.
some work around that, but I think we fixed that one
Yeah.
on site with just us. But yeah, so I have to work with Joel on that other issue anyway. So, yeah, we'll
Yeah.
talk about that.
Yes, Cindy
parking
Powers,
as well.
every time when she comes on there.
Oh, did she clunk in it? Oh, it's too low, you think? Okay.
So up near where Kathy Roy, that corner there.
Maybe you can, tell me about that and
You drive,
see what I
come down, and you'll,
I
Now
don't,
that I
I
told-
never hit it, but.
now that I
I'm
told
probably
you, you'll
self-conscious.
see it.
Let's see, we also performed some gravity line sewer main flushing in the areas of town that we've identified that they need to just be done on a yearly basis. And the alternator in the old truck, the GMC, was replaced in-house. Carl and Jeff took care of that. The septic line, of course, at the plant came plugged twice over the past 2 months. We've basically left the chain lift on it at this point for safety, so we can just clean it out when it needs to be cleaned. The front bushes were trimmed. The exterior fence line was mowed for security, and of course, the plants be mowed every week. And the cement siding on the side of the UV building, it began to peel off. And I remember when they were putting it's a cement siding, so when they were putting it on, they were trying to use huge nails, and it kept splitting the
Okay.
cement boards. So they went to really tiny nails, and what's happening is that, you know, the weather over time, they're starting to pop off and peel. So the guys did a great job at like pre-drilling and putting in screws, critical places, and then they repainted that whole side. And also the inside of the UV building, just because of the humidity, the moisture has caused the windowsills to begin to rot. So we took those all apart and cleaned them all up and put them all back together and then repainted all of those too. We've been spring cleaning, of course, at the 11 major pump stations around town. As the generators run each month, it blows in the dirt, and we keep all that cleaned up. And we had a pump fail to prime at PC3, and that pump refused to prime. And then we remembered, we had this happen before. If the check valve on the opposite pump is plugged, it actually causes some kind of vacuum where you can't reprime the first pump. So we took apart the check on the second pump, and it was plugged. So we cleaned that out, and then the first one primed up right away. So we got that station back online. And then we had this really weird glitch in the electricity at PV1 down in Alta Garden. It triggered a power fail alarm, but then the generator didn't start, and both pumps failed, which was a little frightening. But long story short, we got there and we opened the transfer switch, and the transfer switch shows you if you have normal power or if you're on emergency power, and it had normal power. So I'm like, let's just run a pump on hand. And it came on and it pumped it right down. So ran number 2, came on, pumped the wet well down. What we found is that we were going to change out the motor saver, because we found that if you can't reset a power fail alarm, it's usually due to the motor saver and the power panel. So we went back to the plant and noticed that 3 other pump stations had power fails. So that was strange. So we went back, we tried to replace the motor saver. Lo and behold, PV1 is the only pump station in town that has a different motor saver. Of course. So we said, well, we better put the old one back in and see what happens. And it actually reset itself.
Okay.
So it reset, everything went back to normal. So we have 2 of them on the shelf now, just
Okay.
because that was
Just in case.
that was a pretty easy one. What we determined in reading the manual is that we think what happened, it was some sort of power drain in the system. Because if a motor saver drops below 7% of what it's seeing coming in for power, it will actually drop out.
Was it during a storm or anything? Did we
It
have
was a
storm?
beautiful day.
Yeah.
It was
So
a
I'm just
beautiful
trying to think
sunny
of
day at 2
power.
o'clock in the afternoon.
Something that would make the power.
There was absolutely no indication that anything would go wrong on that day.
Everywhere.
And that's how these things usually happen. But
That was all.
that was at Alta. Yeah. So it did reset, and we have 2 more on the shelf. So everything was, thank you, okay. But really, really, really interesting. All the generators have been scheduled to be serviced in July. And we did the sludge blanket wet well cleanings at PP3 and MP4, and you have to like smash the blankets up on top and have it sucked out by a pump truck. And we do that because we don't want any of that gook to get into the force mains, which would be completely disastrous. So it's something that we do twice a year. It's not fun at all, but we do it. Our next meeting is scheduled for August 23rd, 2018. That's a floater. So if I have something that needs to be approved, we have that meeting. If not, we meet in October.
Okay.
And let's see, so regarding our propane provider, we've had Blue Flame for 2 years now, and I really like them. I've touched base with Linda, the town hall is happy with them. I've touched base with Tom at the transfer station. We all use them, and he's really happy with them. I'd like to just recommend that we stay with them. The price seems halfway decent.
Did it go up, down, where is it?
I'm not quite sure. Well, see, Linda, you want to explain how that's billed?
I believe that we are billed the,
Discount, right?
yes, that, but not the budget plan.
Well, what happens is because
We are billed just as soon as the bill comes. We're billed as soon as they drop. In
so
each department, we have one account for the transfer station and we have one for a town office, and all the rest of them are pump stations. Pump station fuel,
right.
which
But
is
they're
the
all coming from the
majority.
same supplier.
All from the same supplier. Yes.
She gets individual
What's his rate?
bills.
And I get individual
We've been-
bills.
I think we've been either 2 or 3 years since we, I think it's
We've
time to
been
go out
2
to bid
years with
again.
them, I think.
That's what I'm wondering, that's why I wanna know what the price was, I know what I'm paying. But of course,
We had
I
a
pay
phenomenal-
taxes.
$1.44.
We had a really good price,
That's what it is
but I don't
right
know what
now.
the rest of the market's like. I mean, when we signed on with them, we were like 90 cents,
Yeah,
but it's definitely gone up. But I know, I would think every 2 or 3 years we should go out to bid. on
Okay,
that.
whatever your preference
That's my
is.
feeling.
yeah, it doesn't mean that we can't still stay with the same person because, based on how close the bids are, because of the service we get. But let's see how far, he might be 40 cents off from where the others are.
So I'll resend you all my, or you must have it. the
Yeah,
information
And when you
from
put the
last
bid together, you bid out everything, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then what we did was we just requested that each of the bills be separated by pump station name and
Yeah,
designation,
which
so
makes
Linda
sense.
would know,
Oh,
where to
that's
pick it up
fine.
from.
Yeah.
Okay,
Separated by location.
great.
And board in agreement that we should send this out to bid? Didn't get a motion to do it, but I assume everybody's agreeing.
I'm in agreement.
Yeah, okay. Ronnie always wants to send it out to bid, so I know he's okay.
Absolutely.
And
Look how low it's
that's
priced.
pretty much it for me with the report.
All right, thank you. How about courses? Are you guys taking any courses these days?
We have fulfilled our course
For this year?
requirements for this year. Yes.
I noticed you said something about safety when you were doing the mowing. Is there other safety issues? You got cameras and everything, I know. I'm just thinking of kids today and the vandalism that goes on, but you're pretty well,
I feel like we're in a good place with that.
and we're gated off, so people can't get in and get close with their vehicles or
That's
anything.
great.
So,
I know they're, Bennington is trying to organize a 2-day OSHA class. I believe the end of August, maybe right around the 1st of September. And I believe they've been talking with Joel about it. They're gonna need some, probably, they're looking to have some people from Pownal say they'd like to do it so we can get the state
Well,
to
it
pay
makes-
for it. to
makes
have it.
sense.
We already did that.
Oh, you did? Okay, okay.
Yes, I think you can only count the credits for I can't remember what the duration is, but you can't take it once every other year. So-
Perfect.
So
I'm
I'll
not
have
sure
to
what
look
you've
that
taken,
up.
I just know that that is in the works right now.
Everyone should take it though. It's really
Yeah.
important. It's a good course.
okay. Thanks for the report. Moving on to the budget.
Yeah, so the budget adjustments, there's nothing that's probably gonna jump out at you and go, wow, it's just what we do every year. We adjust the budget because we want to show that what we're spending, what we budgeted is more accurate to what we actually spent, so that in the following year, we can look at those numbers and use that for a more accurate budgeting process.
Okay, so the top half of this is showing the amount that it was reduced by because
Right.
of expenditures. And
Right.
And basically it totaled 29,350.
Correct.
And then they moved these funds in the bottom to bring up and match the actual expenditures for the.
Correct.
things, which of course was the $29,350.
Yeah.
that was applied.
Yep, they have to match.
So, I would say, and Alan's looked at this, is the board in agreement with this? Well, I guess you gotta make a motion, actually, make a motion
Right, we make a
to,
motion.
to do what has been recommended here.
I move to approve what's been recommended.
Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, so that's the budget adjustments. Okay, everybody understand the motion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, any nays, abstentions?
Can I give this to Ellen so she can enter it?
Okay. Any other business before
I
us?
do have one thing. I had a concern from one of our people on our system about starting to think about a fund now that the plant is 11 years old?
12.
Yeah.
12 years old. So basically, it's at half of its lifetime expectancy. Starting to think about a fund, like a capital fund for.
We do have that.
We do have that. Okay.
Yes.
And are we putting enough money into it? Because this person was involved in it when we built it. So he has great concerns that he thinks we should be increasing it now. Now's the time to start bumping it up. And
Yeah, Clint used to always push us for
I
that
think that's
anyways.
planned, yeah.
And basically, yes, and I know that we've been trying to do that each year.
Right,
We talked about doing that with any money that we might get from the solar rental of
right.
our land. Won't be much, and as you said, things are expensive, so we better think of more than that if we really want to be
So
prepared for some major.
so next year, I'm
Next
thinking
year
we
we should
really want to
cons-
sit down hard
Okay.
and look at,
And by then,
What's realistic,
and by
too.
then we'll know whether or not this solar occurred, because they haven't even, they're at this stage where they might come in and say, sorry,
Right,
it's not gonna work.
And I think his concern is seeing, some of the other towns around here, the situations are in right now with their
Oh, Bennington,
wastewater plants. They're in trouble because they don't
Bennington
have the
had a
money.
big bond
There's
just
no money
recently.
there to.
I think we've really worked hard to do the
Right.
best that we can.
Sure, I
And
understand.
keep the expenses
Well,
where
and I
the
think-
users can afford it, but yes, it is.
Well, I think it's fair to use Bennington as an example, because the bond, they just went out, they had to increase their rates by some
Quite a bit.
some percentage that was, we talk about our rates at $1 or something, but up there, they jumped
Right.
because of what they had to spend to meet the need. What would be when you think of what's out there and what's being utilized, what would you assume would be the failure that would occur that would have a substantial cost?
Well, if a force main broke, a pump station complete failure, and the expense on that would be, depending on the weather, depending on who we hired, depending, there could be.
But we're talking 5 figures for sure in that type of expense.
Yes,
If not 6?
probably.
I don't think it'll be 6, but 5 figures for sure.
But also, pumps and drives and
Mhm. Those I'm trying to
VFDs.
kind of cover in the capital plan that we have in place, in our equipment plan that we have in place, and in our O&Ms, as those are happening. But a major catastrophe,
And you never
it's
know.
really hard for me to put an amount on
Well, I think-
what that could be. I think you're right, we're building the fund, we've been working on building the fund, but maybe we need to be a little more aggressive with that, is I think what you're going
Right.
with.
Do you know what's in our funds now, currently?
I don't have a number right now.
Yeah.
Alan would know.
Don't have a budget with us.
No, Alan would know though.
Yeah, I'll say we don't have a budget book with us, or otherwise they'd look it
Don't have a
up.
budget.
Because it's in our town report. We could look it up and see what's there and what we allocated this year. And it
It's in our
tells.
fund balance
What's that
that we
fund
just
called?
had.
Capital fund?
Is that, okay.
What the
Touch
cap,
base with Alan and
but the-
follow
but
through
the-
on that.
you're right, the thing that she just handed out for the
Yeah,
fund
it's
balance
fresh
sheet,
from last week.
it'll show right on it what that fund is. So we need to,
Is it capital reserve fund? Something like
Yes.
that it's called.
okay, anything else?
How about, have we gained any people or lost
We
any
did.
people?
We gained a person.
Gained
We
one.
gained you.
I'm just curious.
And we didn't lose any because the person
Couldn't
never came in.
understand
to-
why.
We
but
did not lose
Did
anyone.
explain.
That's good to gain one.
It's just a
Slow though, I'll tell
To
you.
gain one.
How many years?
12.
12?
years.
And
But we've,
12
we've lost and gained.
Yeah,
Through
12
the years,
years.
so yeah.
So we sort of been balancing as we gone through those 12 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I'll take a motion if there's nothing else. To adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
I'll second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all for coming.